Hello everybody, welcome to a new video of JMSpeedshop. Today we got an update on the S124 V8 turbo project. If you're new to the channel, have a look on my website JMSpeedshop.com. Is over here. This is my S124 station wagon with an engine swap M113 V8 with a turbo. So it's almost, I think, a month ago that I made a video, maybe longer. I wanted to do another video but film some stuff, but also want to get some stuff done on the car. So I'm now on a point that I have the engine bay ready for the most part. So let's have a look. So last time the engine was in and there was not an intake manifold in. So I think I made some pictures. I will put them below the video, or I will put them in the video itself or below the video on my website, so you have a look there. So what have I done? So I placed the intake manifold with the spacer plates. So there's a dual gasket now in between. They are blocking the two ports. You can see the other port maybe over here. See that small hole that's still in the gasket. And this also, that's normally the air injection what's going in. So that one is blocked. Also in the back, this plate is normally for the EGR. That's also blocked. I've got the original connections for the crankcase beater blocked, and I made already a small riving loom for 1 and 2. So this is knock sensor 1, knock sensor 2, bank 1 and bank 2, of course. So what is the case? I mounted it, also the injectors, 1100cc injectors. They were a little bit longer, so I made a spacer in between here, so the manifold's a little bit up. It's also turned over 180 degrees, so it's on the original position, or it's on normal position, but the manifold is turned over 180 degrees, and I got different connections. So this is AN8 welded on. This connection over here, that's normally in here, I have to search a cover for it so I can close it up. Then it's all closed. Throttle body is mounted. It is shifted another 90 degrees because I made a different connection for the brake booster vacuum. There is, of course, there is just a check valve in here, so if you got overboost, this one is just closed and you don't have any vacuum on your brake booster. And if you're on a throttle, you have boost, you don't even need the brakes, so that's also pretty good. On the back side, I still need to connect the vacuum lines. For this, I have to have a look. I'm going to do it because I also need a check valve in here, otherwise it will blow up this membrane in here. Then I get, I want to have a canister in between, so because if I'm under boost, I still need vacuum to control this valve. So I'll use a vacuum canister that's normally used for these engines, that are the black ones. I have a look if I got one here. I tested it with this. These ones you have normally in the car. People that have seen these in the wheel arches, normally they are mounted here, but my system is over here. So I use that with a check valve, then I got just vacuum in it, I checked it. I can turn it open and close it for 7 times on one canister vacuum, so that's pretty good. Turbo lines are all in. So I've got an AN4 teflon pressed line, so this is pressed, not made. This AN4 connection in here. This is, I think, M10 to normal L connection or hydraulic connection in here, and also the connection is also in here, but the line is AN4. That's, I think it's, not sure, 716 or smaller, something like that. Also going to do these lines for the fuel lines. So the cooling, this turbo is a hybrid turbo, so it also has hybrid cooled, how you call it. Also have water cooling on here. This is just a hydraulic line, 3/8 or 10 millimeters, with just the normal connections. In here is M14 So it's going to a 3/8 connection. Lines are in here on the original connection where normally the oil cooler lines were. Below you see the other one. I don't know if you can see it, but it's down there. That's the other line. I use those connections. I think this is the most perfect solution. Intake temperature sensor mounted in here. That's all done. When I change the position of the throttle body, I have to modify this plate again. So it cost me another 3 or 4 hours because it was not fitted correctly anymore because I changed some stuff. And then of course the bottom pipe to the intercooler was also not possible to fit. You can see where there are 2 welds now down there. That is a piece I needed to put in there to get it all connected again. So normally you should say if you put it in there, it would be all okay if you try to put it back together. Oil cooler is connected, thermostat housing connected. I have to make a small mount for it or connect it with on a good way, good possible way to connect it. So I have to have a look to that because I also have my leveling system over here. So yeah, I have to have a look. I'm going to do that. Also the transmission cooler is connected. Lines are in the wheel well going up in here and then down to the transmission. So normally there's going to be a plate in here and then there is a rubber in here that will these lines will all be in there nice and tidy, and this line will of course go in here and then it will be perfect. So cooling line that's down there is connected from the bottom side of the radiator. That's going here upwards. This is my filling point for the radiator with my thermostat and my overflow tank. That's all connected. The only thing I need to connect is this breather pipe, because this breather pipe is going through here with a line to this connection, the highest point of the cooling system. And then the bleed line is going to the tank. That's this one. It's going to the tank. And I have a small level on here. Battery can go in later, and I still have the plan to put the window wash wiper tank in the trunk, because I got a very good tip from somebody just to place another one in the trunk. So that's what I'm going to do. Radiator is connected fully and installed. Also the fan. I have a small fan. If you want to know what type I have this one. This is the strongest and the biggest one I could place in here. I still have room. If there are people that can remember my V12, then you know I could only put a small paper in between the fan and the pulley, and here I have another 4 centimeters of space. What's pretty good, and I still have space in the front to put an air conditioning condenser in here. This time I choose to put the radiator stuck with just some bolts. I saw this on the internet. Spol is also selling a kit for it, and I just mounted it like this. I also have these connections that you can put with a plastic wire through it, but yeah, I didn't have the right fitment points on here, so normally there is then a bracket and you then can just put them through. But I think this is also a pretty good connection to do it, because it pressurizes the complete plate on the radiator, so you cannot really damage it. It's plastic, and on this side I just have to bolt through the aluminium in here, and then there's just a plate beam, so I don't think there's anything that can go wrong with that. So for the rest, in the engine bay, exhaust is all in. Oh yeah, for the turbo also, of course, I put the insulation in here. Also insulated the downpipe fully. It's all in place. Everything is connected in here. There are some pieces that is very tight that I needed to put some love into it, I can say. It needed to make a little bit more space. I still only have this insulation that's coming, that's just falling onto the exhaust, so I have to have a look what I'm going to do with it so it will stay in. Downpipe is also done. That's done. The first half of the downpipe, it stops over there. Nothing is going to hit it. Then I have this piece of downpipe. This is my central muffler. This is the connection that's going on to the transmission, and then I insulated it, the downpipe, up to just underneath the car, because yeah, the rest is all has top insulation from the underneath the car, and there is more airflow underneath the car. So I thought yeah, I can do it, but it's a lot of work. So I'm going to wrap this exhaust just with normal wrap up till this point for sure. With a turbo you lose a lot of temperature after the turbo, because the turbo is using a lot of heat energy. So not sure yet if I'm going to insulate the full exhaust with wrapping material. I have it, so I can do it, so that's not a problem, but you will see. Also connection for the lambda sensor, or the O2 sensor, how you want to call it, very important sensor. So that will be underneath the car. For the rest, yeah, that's about it, I think. It's all pretty tight. I spent a lot of time getting the turbo and everything sorted and get this stuff in between, because I cannot put these springs on. So if you can see, I made 2 holes in the insulation to get my bracket on there. So it's all yeah, you think you can put in everything in just a few minutes, and it's just, yeah, it never goes like how you want it, and that's my experience with it. Yeah, downpipe, or the intercooler pipes are connected, all the O-rings are in it, fitment is all pretty good, cooling lines are connected. There's one cooling line that I have to block off. I hope you can see it, but this here, the original pump has a separate connection. That is normally my connection that's going to the overflow tank. That's what I think it is. I'm going to block it off because I have a T-piece over there. I could not remember why I did it like this, but I think it's because I had no space for the overflow tank, and I had to put it over there. And still you need a connection to go to that particular point. So yeah, you can do it in a lot of ways, but I did it like this, so I'm going to block this off. Not really a problem. Then you have, of course, the connection on the back of the cylinder head. That's over here. This connection that will be connected to that aluminium pipe that's going to the radiator in the car for the heating. And then of course you have these two for yeah, you have then two it's how you call it, you could 2 sections, passenger and driver side valve connection. So there are 2 pipes going in here, and one is over there. So this is also all connected. Yeah, what I also did is put new ribbons in here. These ribbons that will protect the shock absorbers. Very important, because these shock absorbers, the quality is very good, but if you damage these boots, you get sand in them, then it can start to leak, and then yeah, that's the end of it. So for the rest, yeah, also crankcase ventilation system is really in your face in this car. I see it. Yeah, there are a lot of things to say about the crankcase ventilation, I think, because a lot of people have opinions about it. So yeah, so this is the last thing I did today, the crankcase ventilation. And the original crankcase ventilation, I thought it was just a little bit small, and this engine is not really made to make more overpressure in the engine, so you have a possibility that you have more blow by and you have more crankcase pressure, and then you have to get rid of it. So yeah, the original piping and that sort of stuff, it was just and there's also, that's one thing, and the other thing is I don't want any recirculation of oil fumes back into my engine without a filter, without a good filter. So if you look the other videos before this, you can see them in the right corner for you below the video in the playlist that I rebuilt this intake manifold and the cylinder heads, and you can really see that the piece where there's no fuel in it, that is very dirty. So in this intake manifold before the injectors, yeah, that is just very greasy. So I just don't want that. It needs to be nice and clean. You get all carbon buildup and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just not ideal. So what I think is a good solution is this, is that I have what is the size, AN12 connections, pretty big. It's a shit job to get these hoses in. It's just yeah, a hell to do, I think. Not my hobby, but it's all in good order. It's all connected. So I just have a connection in here. I drilled this in. I don't know if I showed it when I put the engine together, but that's also why I blocked off the other connections. And yeah, it's magnesium, so otherwise I would weld it shut, but yeah, it's not really possible. I could also drill some thread in it and put a bolt in it, because there's a very small hole in these. They look pretty big because this is an AN6 hose, but the hole in it is like maybe 3 millimeters or smaller, so it's pretty weird. This one is a little bit bigger, this full opening, but yeah, I think it's still weird. So I just want to have good crankcase ventilation. So what is this system? So there's going 2 pipes to an AN16 connection. AN16 connection is going to an MAN filter housing. This is not the original filter housing, this is just an aftermarket filter housing, but there is an original MAN filter in it, because the original filter is just stainless steel. So this is, I can show you the number, then you can Google it. This is an MAN filter LC5001. Google it, you see this is like a crankcase ventilation system that is used in trucks. So like Scania's and that sort of stuff. And I found this system because I was looking for it months ago for a good system that I for sure don't have any oil vapors back into the turbo. So I can use this system in 2 ways. I can just use it atmospherically, then I just put a hose in here and put it in the wheel well or something, and then it's just, yeah, or somewhere, and it's just ventilating to atmospheric pressure. Then there is just a drain plug over here. You can drain the bottom half if there's oil buildup in, so I have to make a hose in here with a small valve or something. I have to have a look. I don't know how much oil it will produce, but that's the case. And then on this piece there's another valve in here. If the overpressure is enough in the intake, it will suck vacuum in here, and you create a little bit of an lower pressure in the crankcase. That is how it should work. I found this because there are people that are doing off-road driving with Nissan Petrols and those big Land Cruisers, that sort of stuff. They had the same thing. There was a guy that also had a problem with the ventilation and the dirt in his intake manifold, and I found this on the web, and he tested it and I showed it, and it's just working very, very, very good. So I have the number somewhere from this unit. I will put it below the video with the information also from the filter, because you can just order these. I think originally they cost like 250 euros. If you buy them aftermarket, the material is maybe not that good of a quality, but yeah, I can test it now. If it breaks, I just buy the original one. The filter is like 90 euros that's in here, and the unit is normally like 250, but this complete unit, I think it cost me like 40 euros with the stainless steel mesh filter. But yeah, that's not ideal. So this original filter that's in here is much more ideal. So I think I have covered everything up to this point. I don't know if I showed you that I also have an oil pressure sensor in here. That's oil pressure and temperature. I think last video I showed it. I moved it also a little bit up now. So if the belt is getting off, it will never hit the sensor. So yeah, yeah, that's the case. So everything is connected in here. So next thing what I'm going to do is I have to weld in the new center bearing for my drive shaft. So that's the prop shaft from the transmission to the differential. I have to weld in the original one from the W210, because I have a W210 Excellent, is a little bit more to the back. So I have to weld that in, and then the last thing mechanically that needs to be done is connecting the hydraulic system for the back. So I ordered some parts for it, and I have like 3 months delivery time, so I will get it somewhere in May, so next month, and then I can finish this leveling system. So these connections, I got another tank I have to mount that's coming, so another pump in it. So this is then the pressurized line and the return line, and I also have it in the back, and then there has to be a unit in between. I will show you then when I have it, to connect these two so I can have flow to both systems. Then I also going to build the hydraulic system in the back, so it's the same as I have here on the side. I have a full video of this. If you want to see it, have a look in the playlist. So then I also have in the back, I have just a valve that is controlling both at once. So it's a bigger valve, it's a 6.2 valve, and then also with 4 of these, so I control also the left and the right, also the firmness in 2 positions, so I can switch this and have just a normal comfort setting and a sport setting. That's how it works. And then the next thing is, of course, the fuel system. So the fuel system, I have the injectors in it, like I told you. The fuel lines need to go in. So I have aluminium fuel lines for the front and the back, 1/2 inch fuel lines, aluminium. They will have a hard line connection to a soft line connection, and I will have, I think it's AN8 connection to my fuel pressure regulator. That will be mounted somewhere here. I think this is a very good connection, but there's still a hole in there. I want to place it somewhere here, and then I have a line going to there, and that will be then the return, and it can go underneath the car. Back to the front, also have to have a look how I'm going to put the return line in, because the return connection is pretty small. Maybe I can use 2 lines, because there is also a ventilation line to the fuel tank, but we will discuss it in another video, because it's I think this is already long enough. So yeah, we're getting there, but it's a lot of work, that's for sure. Okay, and the last thing I want to say, this connection, I think I'm going to make a pipe in here, and then I will put some Venturi, a pipe with a Venturi system in it, just that it's sucking air through it, and then it will suck the fumes in here into the turbo, and that fumes will be then like 95% without any oil. And then I have just that's how the people told me how good the system would work. So that's it. So thanks for watching. Have a look on JMSpeedshop.com. Link is over here, or here. I hope you can see my finger. Link is over there underneath here. Right corner view is my logo. You can click on it, see all the other videos, and don't forget to subscribe. If there are any questions, leave the comments below, and see you for the next one. Bye bye.